Hello and welcome to another Game Pit Stop video. This one is for Dark Domains, coming from Laboratory H and designed by William Baldwin, Jeff Horger, Carla Horger and Joseph Rausch, playing 2 to 5 players. Now in Dark Domains you see before you on the board the sprawling city of the Harrows. Now the Harrows has risen up and it's a major hub of commerce and industry and trade within the world around it. Now the leader of the Harrows wants other people to go out and form their own cities and build up those cities to pay homage to the Harrows, make the Harrows more important and more powerful, and therefore increasing the wealth of the area. We're going to do this as the players, but we've got a slightly ulterior motive. Well, a massively ulterior motive. We are followers of the Dark Necromancer who wants to shroud the land in darkness. We're going to build those cities, but we're going to turn them dark, and we're going to earn evil points, which is going to win us the game if we get enough of them. There is some opposition to that. Along the top there, you will see the fabled Taurin Company. And they are bands of heroes who are going to come out and they're going to attack us if we show our hand too early and show that we are followers of that Dark Necromancer. And they will try to stop us doing so. Now the game itself is a worker placement game and it's played over 8 phases. So what we're going to do is talk through the 8 phases. Now I just want to show you the player board that we are operating with. And this is where our buildings are going to go, and we're going to place our monsters also onto this area. And I can't leave it in play because it'll block everything else, because there's a lot going on in this game. But when we need it, I shall plonk it on the board and then we will be able to see what it does. We start off with the fortune phase. Now the fortune phase means you draw 2 of these fortune cards. Now you draw them one at a time. And then, if you can see there, this one says, if that brown symbol is paired with this green symbol in the following card, then you're going to do the top action. If they're different, then you're going to do the bottom action. So let's have a look. So, as you can see here, I've got a green symbol. So on this card, we're going to do the top action. On this card, it's a slightly different card in that it's a tarot card, and you just got one action anyway. If I had drawn this card, which is this blue twig icon, then that means that both cards will do the bottom action. And what these do, they just change up the way the round works, or give you something, or take something away from you. They're all very different, and there's a large deck of them. Now, moving on to the preparation phase, this only activates if you've got something you can do in the preparation phase, like a cast a spell, which we'll get to later. But the number 3 phase is the main one in the game. And this is where you get to place your workers, or your minions, as they're called in the game. And everyone starts with 4 of these minions. Now you can place them on your board, but as I said, we're going to get to the board a bit later on. And generally, you're going to be placing them around on these worker spaces on the board. Now most of them are singles, and they're blocked out, apart from this one, where you can place any amount of your minions. And they all correspond to either an action on the board itself, a token on the board, or one of these cards around the edge of the board. Moving on to phase 4 is the resolution, and you're going to go in order. They start at number 1 and they work all the way around to number 17. What we're going to do is quickly run through what each of the actions does, and then that in turn is going to allow me to show you what a lot of these cards mean and these tokens mean around the board. So the first one is the Seer. The Seer, we've already shown you the fortune cards and the tarot cards. They're going to allow you to look at the top 3 cards of that deck, have a look at them, put them back in any order so that you know what's coming up and nobody else does. The business district here, number 2, so moving along the path, is a straight up, you just get 2 money. Then moving along to the Temple of the Black Cult, which allows you to get 2 evil, which is, as I said, the victory points. Now, these 2 are interesting. I'm going to group them together because they do essentially the same thing, but one's better at it than the other. So you've got the Assassin's Guild and the Street Thug. Assassin's Guild, you pay either 12 money and or 6 evil to activate the assassin, and then the assassin allows you to take out somebody else's. So if this one person and you wanted that building, you could take that and place it somewhere else. You can take out some of the cards that they will have in, people will have in there in their tableau. You can also take out the cards around the board. You've got the Henchman, you've got the touring company, as I said. So that's what that does. The Street Thug does it the same, but not as effective. You have to roll a d6, and if you get 1 and 2, then you get to do that action. If you don't, then you don't. Moving along, one of the most important places is the Architects Guild. Now, this is going to allow you to take one of these buildings. So let's just say I came over here to the barracks. I wanted the barracks. On my turn, I would obviously remove my minion. I'll take the barracks and place it in my player area. We'll get to that later. So moving around, we have the Wayward Dragon Inn, and this introduces us for the first time to the Henchmen. Now, the Henchmen are just cards or people that are going to help us to do things, give us a little bonus, allow us to scupper the other players somewhat. They sit face up and everyone can see what they're going to do for you. Sometimes you have to pay them money to do action. Sometimes it just triggers from going to spaces on the board. Moving on, we have the Builders Guild. Now this is where we're going to get our resources, a pile of resources over there. Now what we have is wood, ore, workers and metals. And this is the way we're going to build those buildings when we get to that phase of the game. And you're going to pay that money and you're going to collect whatever resources you can afford. Over here are the elements. This is the Towers of the Elements. And elements are used to cast spells. Now we're going to move on nicely to the spells. And there are 4 types of spells. You have your defense, attack, control, or production. Now, defense are going to help you to defend your buildings against the touring company when they do attack. Attack are going to basically start attacking the other players, doing sort of nasty things to them. And your production, right on the end, is going to allow you to get extra resources into your hand, and control is going to allow you to do certain things on the board. But as with the henchmen, you have in the top right hand corner one of the symbols that represents one of the phases of the game. Now, you can only activate these during that phase of the game. So, for instance, that henchman allows us to do in the resolution phase, and this defense card allows us to activate when the adventure phase, and that's when the touring company activates. So that's when you want to do it anyway. So that's what the spells do and the henchmen do. Moving along to 11 and 12, which are the Golden Unicorn Tavern and the Yellow Swan Tavern. Now, what these are is where these touring company hang out, and you can actually remove one of them. Never the leader. The leader is always the one on the far left-hand side of each of them, and there is a divide down the middle there, so that's one side, that's one. And you're going to be able to remove one of them, because obviously some of them you might not like the look of, and you might think they're about to attack you, and you can weaken them in that way. If you move on to the docks, that gives you a foreign mercenary, and the foreign mercenary goes onto your board and allows you to defend your building by rolling a die when it comes to that. And then we're going to go across this little water to number 14, which is the Farlands, and this allows you to get 2 henchmen, but you don't know what they are, so you're taking a gamble as to what they are. So if those ones are gone or you don't like the look of them, you can come and take a gamble. Then we get our first taste of our monsters. Now, each one of these circles represents the monster beside it. Now, monsters you pay money for, and what they can do is they can produce for you. They will always produce what's down there, but they will also defend your buildings. Should you place them on top of your buildings, they will defend them for you. So monsters can be quite handy to have. Some of them have special abilities, like this one. You can pay an element to roll a d8 in addition to its already powerful defense. So moving on, we're going to go round here to the Harrows Town Council, which is going to allow you to get the first player marker, which is this necromancer, and 2 money. And lastly, we go to the Royal Court, which allows you to take the courtesan and the marker to show you own the courtesan. And next round, you place the courtesan as you would one of your minions. It's an additional minion, and you also get 2 money. So that's what all the actions do. The next phase in the game is all about building those buildings, as I said. Let's clear some of those. And what you're going to do is you're going to look and see what resources I need to build it. And then you're going to place that down, light side up, onto your board. Now, some of them depict where you must place them, whether in the mountains, forests, town, or plains. But some of them you can place, most of them you can place wherever you want to, really. So let's place that there. Now, when it comes to the adventurers attacking, if your buildings are light side up, they're not going to be attacked by the touring company. And you're going to get this reward on the left-hand side of the card. When you flip them, they tend to give you just pure evil, pure victory points, and are more effective at giving you those game-winning points. But obviously, they then become a target for the touring company. So let's talk about the touring company. Now, let's grab this leader over here, and he's a ranger. So this ranger, he will attack a dark building with the highest number. So every building has a level number on it. So this barracks is number 54. So like this mine, for instance, is number 98. And this guy is going to attack any dark buildings in the forest, and he's going to choose the one with the highest number. So if I happen to have this mine flipped over onto the dark side, then he would come and attack. And what happens is all these dice, so this guy will roll a d8, and there's a d12 and two d10s. Let's just roll it. So they would come attack that building, and well, that's a bit of overkill because that's only got defense of 9, so that would be gone. I might have some monsters on there that bump up the defense of it. I might have spells that will bump up the defense. If I survive, I get some evil. The leader gets vanquished from the game. If they defeat me, I lose all my stuff, and the leader becomes a great hero and goes out to pasture, but he's still in the discard pile, so he still can come back. We then move on to production. So we talked about these buildings giving us various things. So this one will give me 1 money. This one will give me an earth element and 2 evil, because I've managed to flip that over. And then at the end of turn, you're simply going to restock all your things. You're going to replenish your touring company. These guys are going to move across, and they're going to get replenished there. Any monsters you've taken are going to get replenished. And so on until you reach the end of the game is triggered by when you draw the death card. That means the last round has triggered, and then you play one more round, and whoever has amassed the most amount of evil is the winner of Dark Domains. That was a pit stop video. We hope you enjoyed it. Please go to our YouTube channel for many, many more like it. And for more in-depth gaming coverage, please check out our podcast, the Game Pit Podcast, wherever you get your podcasts from. Thank you for listening.